flame, from tired to thriving, from silence to song. With YDC you belong. Let's start living, rise again. You are more than just a pain. Confident, bold, unashamed. Your discovery coach, remember the name. You're strong, you're seen, you're free to dream. YDC, 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 remember the name. Hey mama, you're more than enough. Hey mama, stand tall, you've given so much. You gave your all, now it's time to shine. You've been in the shadows, now step in the light. Rediscover your voice, take back your name. You're not just a mom, your power, your flame. From tired to thriving, from silence to song. With YDC you belong. Let's start living.
Hey mamas, let's start living. Thank you so much for joining me on another Friday Live. I don't take your time for granted. And if you've never met me before, my name is Debbie and I am the founder of Your Discovery Coach. And today's topic is the word you live inside. I know it sounds very vague. Why what you consume, repeat, and believe is forming you. And I'm going to start with a little story. So thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me. Thank you for your time. I don't, again, take it for granted. And just a little background about Your Discovery Coach, right? It's a place where I create spaces where women, especially women who feel invisible, feel like they're over functioning or quietly tired, just quietly tired, can slow down, can reflect, can reconnect with who they really are. So tonight is not a rant. I'm not here to rant. It's not a warning and it's not a motivational push. It's just a reflection. And it's also an invitation. I'm going to be inviting you at the end of this 30-minute live. I'm going to be doing an invitation, just inviting you because I know what it is like to be carrying so much. I know what it is like to have so much to do. I know what it is like to overfunction. I know what it feels like to be at the background of your own story. I know what all those things feel like. So I'm going to be inviting you. But before then, let's just see what I have to say today. So if you're listening while you're cooking, if you're listening while you're folding laundry, if you're listening while you're driving, if you're listening while you're walking, if you're listening while you're even lying in bed, you're still in the right place. Okay, so let's just go. Nothing needs fixing tonight. Just notice what resonates with you as I speak. Thank you once again for joining me. So this weekend I was having this, I had this I had this I had this observation about myself, not about anyone else. And I sat down and I love to journal. So I was reflecting, I was, really reflecting on that particular observation. And one thing I realized was that the post that I had been liking on social media, there was this particular trend of posts that I'd been liking on social media, and they all carried the same flavor. They all sounded alike. It was not the same topic, but they had the same tone, the same undertone, the same energy, if you like. They had the same emotional energy. The more I engaged with them, the more that kind of content. You know how social media is now. So you engage, they start to show your algorithm starts to show you the same type of content appeared on my feed. And before long, it felt like all the women in the world were thinking the same way. It just felt like, oh, all of us feel the same thing. We all feel the same way. We all have the same emotional energy. But of course, it's not everyone, and that's the thing. It's not everyone that thinks that way. And that's when it was just what I was being shown. And that's when I started to reflect. That's when I began to slow down. That's when I said, hang on, Debbie, there's a pattern here. Let's see that pattern. So this was me watching myself in real time. It wasn't something that someone else was telling me. It wasn't something that someone else was narrating to me. It was just me sitting down to reflect and notice what I was doing in real time. And something became very clear. Those posts were not really entertaining me. They weren't just validating something that I already believed in my subconscious. They were quietly shaping how I was thinking. So they were not bad posts. They were not posts about, all those posts that say all men are bad, all women are bad. No, no, no. They were not trying to pull down anybody, but they were quietly shaping my thoughts. And if I didn't stop, right, to stop to actually, reflect on what I was thinking, metacognition, right? If I didn't actually stop and reflect and say, why am I constantly liking this type of post? What is it calling out from the inside of me? I probably wouldn't have noticed. I would have just thought, coincidence. I'm hardly on social media anyway. I hardly spend so much time there. So I go there, I see what I need to see, I see how my posts are doing, right? Just one or two things here. But I see those posts. As soon as I open my feed, it, forces me to see it. And it wasn't, I just started to understand I wasn't just, ordinary as they say. It's the emotional energy. So what was actually happening? It wasn't something loud. It wasn't a dramatic, I go to social media to look for that post or those type of posts with those undertone. It wasn't something that, was just happening. It wasn't random. It wasn't random. But one thing I noticed that those posts were doing to me is that they were reinforcing grievances I already had about one particular matter. So there was this particular matter that, had been journaling about. And I realized, oh, okay, these are just reinforcing those grievances. This post, it sounds like somebody now gets me. Somebody now understands me. Somebody now understands how I feel. Somebody, it feels like, okay, you found a partner in quotes. That's, oh, this person really gets me, but is that really what is happening? And then it also made me realize that the women whose voices I was resonating with, they all sounded tired. When you look at it on the surface, there was nothing wrong with the post, but when you look deep into this post, they were tired of something. They were angry. They were resentful. And I started to ask myself this question: is that really, really, really what I am becoming? Is that really, really, really who I am becoming? Is that really what I want to feel? Do I want to feel anger? So having an issue is one thing, or having a grievance is one thing. But what, you may have that grievance, you may have that issue, but you're working towards resolving it. But resonating with people who are constantly angry, constantly feeling resentful, constantly feeling tired, it's not actually solving the problem. You're not resonating with them to solve the problem. You're resonating with them to justify why that problem exists. And that's where I'm coming. Just stay with me. These women sounded like they were worn out from carrying too much. But that's not the kind of woman I want to be. That's not the kind of things that I want to consciously carry in my day-to-day, day-to-day relationship with my husband, or with my children, or with my friends. Those were not the things. So I started to be careful. I started to, do more reflection. I started to understand, why am I having these thoughts? Why are these thoughts calling me? Why is this emotional energy calling me? Why is it that this thing is calling me forth? And why is it something that, wants to justify what I am feeling on the inside? And at first, without realizing it, I could hear that same tone, somehow subtly, even though you're trying to solve the problem, but subtly, that same tone begins to show inside your own inner monologue. So yes, you understand that there's a problem, right? You understand that, okay, this certain area, this particular area of my life, I need to work on it. I need to do better. I need to do this. I need to do that. You understand that part. But when you start to resonate with those type of posts that reinforce your feelings, check your internal dialogue. Check your inner dialogue. Are you are you looking at it from a point of view of, how do I solve this thing? How do I get better at this thing? Or are you looking at it, I'm not the only one that feels this way? Is it starting to justify what it is that you're feeling on the inside, the grievances that you're feeling on the inside, the resentment, it may be towards your husband, the resentment that you're feeling towards, on the inside? What is the justification that happens when you interact with those posts? And that's where I'm going to. The words that you leave inside. They're very innocent posts, very innocent statements from friends, very innocent statements from, there's a particular, program that you're constantly listening to. I remember when I was growing up, my mom used to listen to a program called Incombe. There's always something. It's called. It's like I don't know how to interpret it in English, but I feel it sound. It's like what's it called? Something. Things they happen. Things are happening in this world, so you're constantly, so when you're going out, they say things like be careful, but the be careful does not come from just be careful. It's because in combat things are happening in this world, so don't go out there and be swallowed. And then it starts to shape the internal world, so it may be very, very, very harmless. A movie, an Instagram post, a particular content creator that you follow, maybe the person actually is content creating from wounds and trauma, and then that thing starts to resonate with you and starts to justify, slowly justify. I'm not wrong in feeling this way. I am nobody. I'm not being heard in this house. I'm not being seen in this house. So it starts to quietly justify your inner monologue, your inner dialogue, your inner, the things that you're speaking on the inside is a quiet justification. It's a quiet gratification. And I really paused. This is me, being vulnerable here, telling you that yours truly was going on a journey. And I just realized that that journey was not leading me to the kind of woman that I want to be. Are there problems with my are there problems? Are there challenges that I will face? Yes. But what's the mindset with which I want to deal with those challenges? Is it a victim mindset? Is it a I am justified to remain angry mindset? Is it a how can we solve this mindset? Is it what kind of mindset? So the kind of interactions that you come across in the name of entertainment, in the name of scrolling, in the name of whatever you do, tends to justify, give you you feel justice, that you're not feeling anything abstract. So let me just go on. Let me just go on. So that so let me ask you something, let me just ask you a couple of questions. Have you ever noticed your feed changing based on what you engage with? That one is very, very, very rampant. Your feed, your feed just changes with what you engage with. Have you ever felt like suddenly everybody thinks the same way that you do? Even though there deep down that there are people that don't think like you, but it just feels like everybody, and you say things like everybody. I get weary of that language, everybody, because it's not. Who is everybody? There are billions of people in this world. Do you know the billions of people? Do you even know the billions of people in your environment? So who is the everybody? Who is the everybody? Have you ever felt like suddenly everybody thinks the way you do, and everybody remember that we're talking about is in quotes, only to realize later that it was just reinforcement? Let me start by saying before I continue is that nothing is wrong with you. It's just being human. But at the same time, I want us to see what is actually happening. Words are not neutral. I'll say that one more time. Words are not neutral. Words are not neutral. Words are mental shortcuts. They tell your brain how to interpret experience. Words are not neutral. They are mental shortcuts, and they tell your brain how to interpret experience. And when the same language is repeated often, the brain stops asking, is this true? And starts asking, where's the evidence? So I was talking to someone this morning and I said to her, stop saying it's not easy. And I said, let me explain. Because your brain will find evidence for you to make it not easy. Are there people doing this? Do you have a task at hand, right? Something you really want to do, something you really want to be good at. Keep telling yourself that it's not easy. And really, it's not easy for you but there are people who are doing that same task. Are they less human or are they more human than you? No. So your brain starts to find the evidence. Let's give this person the evidence that it's not easy. Let's give this person the evidence that everybody is suffering and everybody needs to manage. Everybody. Let's give her that evidence. Let's give her that evidence. So your brain stops to start asking questions. It stays where That word, those words you constantly hear, you constantly feed yourself with, starts to feel familiar. And familiarity for the brain is safe. Remember what we talk about comfort zone. It's safe. No one wants to go into the forest where there's lion. Nobody now. So your brain is looking for how to keep you safe, how to keep you alive, how to keep you comfortable. So it starts to take those words that feel familiar as safety. Your brain doesn't know right or wrong. It doesn't know whether what you're saying, whether it's not easy is right or wrong, it's not easy is wrong. Does it feel safe? Can it help us to protect her? Can it help us to can is this the least path of resistance for her? Yes. Okay, let's stay here. And that's why when you start a new habit, for instance, it becomes very difficult, or it starts feeling very difficult because your brain is not yet, it hasn't adjusted to the fact that we are now waking up at 6 o'clock. How can we be waking up at 6 o'clock? Baby, we used to wake up at nine. Nine is our normal. And you say, no, me, I'm not waking up at nine with you. I now want to start waking up at 6. It resists you because it's like, are you sure that's what you want to do? That doesn't feel safe. That doesn't feel like us. So it tries to keep you in your known zone, in your comfort zone, in where you are. So when you do things like scrolling, or when we do it, because we all scroll, right? When we do things like scrolling is not passive. I want you to hear me. It's not passive. It's your nervous system listening. It's always listening. It's always listening. And that's how social media also works. It works exactly like the subconscious. It doesn't decide what's healthy for you. It doesn't say, oh, this post is bad, or this post is good. What it does is to feed on your emotional energy. It feeds on what gets your emotional energy. And that's what happened to me when I did my reflections over the weekend. There was a problem, yes, or a challenge. Let me call it a challenge. Let me not call it a problem. Trying to seek for a solution, I start to see posts that reinforced my feelings about that problem, that reinforce my emotional energy about that problem. And I start to feel justified. I start to feel like, oh, no, 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 think if this was this, is that the solution to the problem, by saying I'm right and the other person is wrong? No. So I start to feel justified. All the posts, so those very, very, and I don't follow so many people. I'm not even on social media for a long time. But you can see how even maybe 10, 15 minutes or something that is seemingly harmless starts to feed on your emotional energy and reinforce the behaviors that you're trying to change. It's just like the mind. You start to attract what you think. You start to justify why it's not easy. You start to justify why, after all, everybody is managing. You start to justify why I need to stay small. You start to justify why, I don't need to take a leap. You start to justify where you are. And it becomes a trap, it becomes a loop, except you sit down and you break it. So I want us to look at the self-reinforcing loop. Let me explain this, very gently, because this is where many people misunderstand what is happening. We sometimes say that our thoughts are attracting more of the same thoughts, but what's actually happening is more precise than that. Your subconscious doesn't attract thoughts like a magnet. What it does is that it filters reality. I'll explain. So your subconscious doesn't attract thoughts like a magnet. It's not as if your subconscious is just attracting thoughts. It's just filtering your reality, filtering your reality. So what already lives inside of you quietly, your beliefs, your emotional patterns, your unresolved experiences, make certain thoughts feel more available. So it's just filtering what it is that is on the inside of you. That's why when the day you decide that you're going to buy a blue car, for instance, the day you decide that that's the car you want, when you go out, you will see more blue cars on the road. The honest truth is that there are not more blue cars on the road. Your brain just decides, let's filter that reality and let her reality be like everybody in her street has a blue car. But not everybody in your street has a blue car. You start to see the same color over and over. You see, in fact, it will even, It will even go past the cars. You start to see blue dress, blue bag, blue this, blue that, blue that. It's just filtering your reality. Has the road changed? No. Were there blue cars yesterday? Yes. But the day you decide that I'm just going to focus on a blue car or a blue bag or a blue shirt or whatever it is, that is the day where you start seeing more. Is it that there are more? No. Your reality is just being filtered. So it makes certain thoughts feel more available, feel more reasonable, feel more believable. And that's why sometimes it's hard to change some people's minds because their reality is so filtered that everybody, remember that everybody is in quotes, thinks the way they think. After all, everybody does this. So they can't separate reality or, their mind, what their mind is thinking from reality. That, okay, this is not how it really happens. And that's why you see some people, they will fight you because you're trying to you're trying to question what they call what has been filtered to them as reality. They will fight you. They will say, no, this is not how we do it. This is not how it's done. Oh, no, 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 no. All men are, you see that statement, all men are pieces. That's like one of the, I hate that statement so much. All men are what? And all women are what? How did you get to the conclusion that you counted all the men in this world, and then all the men in this world are what? Your reality becomes filtered, and then those type of people still meet the people that they have complained about, they have murmured about. Those are the type of people they still end up with, because reality being filtered is a thing. So when content, now we're talking about social media, let's come back to social media. So when content matches what your inner system already recognizes, your brain doesn't ask, is this healthy? It doesn't ask whether this person is posting from trauma. It doesn't ask whether this person is advising you from trauma or from his own lived unresolved experiences. It doesn't ask questions. It just asks, does this feel familiar? Is this how I feel? So you go there, but you're not getting solution, you're only getting reinforcement. There's a challenge, but you're not getting solution. You're only getting reinforcement that makes you feel justified in staying in a behavior, in staying in a thought pattern that you are in. And what familiarity does for the brain is to make it feel safe, like I have said. Even when it is not nourishing, like I said, your brain doesn't know right from wrong. So even when it doesn't feel nourishing, does it feel safe? Let's stay here. Does it feel safe? Let's stay here. So that's why we need to be careful what we feed on. What words are you living inside? When you're watching a movie, when you're taking on, life stories from people, from movies, from social media, from mentors, from this, you're borrowing language, and it will only reinforce what is already inside of you. So that's why we need to be careful. Even the Bible says, be careful what you think. Your life is shaped by your thoughts. It's shaped by your thoughts. So even when what we call, safe looking, innocent sounding, or positive content can still shape you in ways that you don't intend. So they look safe, it's okay. Ah, no, 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 it's just somebody sharing her life experience. It looks safe. Oh, no, 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 this thing looks so innocent. Positive content, be strong, be bold, you are enough. It's just something for you to think about, so that you're not haphazardly taking on things onto yourself that you don't need to take on. You're not haphazardly, it's subtle. It's very subtle, very, very subtle. Like I said before, it took me sitting down to reflect, why is this type of post coming into my face? There's something. So you would, you will need to, sit down and be careful how what curates the thoughts in your head. Thoughts are not just ordinary, right? Because safety is in how, safety is not in what the content looks like. Safety is about what it produces on the inside of you. So what you're looking at producing on the inside of you? You want to grow, you want to excel, you want to do stuff, but the kind of things that you're looking at, what is it producing on the inside of you? What is it doing on the inside of you? How is it stretching you, or how is it shrinking you? I want to be calm. I want to do this. I want to do that. 2026. Okay, it's now the 23rd of January, and a few days in the month year has already gone. What is shaping you? What is shaping you? Your emotional energy doesn't pull thoughts towards you. It opens the gates for certain thoughts to walk in more easily than others. So while you will tell me that you don't struggle with certain things, remember that what the gates that you're opening is there's an attraction that your emotional energy attracts. It just makes those ones that you feel like I don't have a problem with, I don't have a problem with them. It's because there's no emotional energy, there's not enough emotional energy to draw it to you. But you see those ones that you spend your emotional energy on, they just come. There's no problem. There's no resistance. The gate is wide open. Come in, bank your thoughts in my head, bank your content in my head, just bank it here. This is where you will find my mouth. This is where you will find my strength. This is where you will find my power. This is where you will see me shaking, because this is what calls me. So what draws you? Be wary of what draws you. Sometimes what draws you is just for you to give an attention to what actually has your life, where your life is going, where your life is directed, what you're ready to defend, what you're ready to protect. No, 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 this one, all men are, oh, this one, this particular topic, everybody is. Be careful about absolutes, because it's showing you where your energy is being drawn. It could be positive, it could be negative. Your brain doesn't know right or wrong. It just knows where, this feels familiar. This one, they're talking to me. This one feels like us. No, I feel good about this. What is it producing on the inside of you? What is it producing on the inside of you? What is it producing on the inside of you? So the mind keeps serving you thoughts that matches the tone that you already know. So that's why, when you're on a growth path, right, you will need to be careful, because what you already know is what is not. So you will need to be able to challenge your, it's not blindly taking on everything. You will need to be able to challenge your thoughts, challenge what you hear, challenge, because sometimes it's just familiarity, and that familiarity that brings safety, and that familiarity that brings safety, because it's not always true, because our emotional energy is not always trained. So we need to be able to start to do these trainings by ourselves, or whatever, metacognition. What are you thinking? Why are you attracted to all this type of posts? What is your what When you're attracted to something constantly, ask yourself, be sincere, stop and ask, why am I constantly attracted to this? So I'll just Oh, I said this was going to be a 30-minute chat. I mean, but we're already at 30 minutes, but that's fine. Let me just steal a few minutes of your time. So I want you to, in the chat or even privately, it doesn't matter, name one phrase you've been repeatedly saying online lately. Something that you've been seeing online lately that just every time you go, you just feels like everybody is saying the same thing. Just name it. I don't want you to overanalyze it. I don't want you to, start to think about it. Just notice it. Just name it. And then I want you to now ask yourself one question quietly. How does this phrase make me feel in my body? Does it reinforce how I feel? Or does it reinforce how I feel? Or does it justify why I feel the way I feel, even though the way I feel could actually be, an indication that I need to change something? Just ask yourself those simple questions. Now we have what we call the borrowed language versus owned language. And that's where it gets interesting. Some of the words that I noticed in my own head weren't even, originally mine. A lot of them were borrowed. They were picked up from, reading here and there. And, you just read here, you read there, you read books. So it becomes borrowed language, picked up from mentors, picked up from even collective frustration. You know that thing where maybe let's use students as an example. The exam is hard, and there's this collective frustration. Everybody starts to talk about how hard the exam is. So everybody bonds on trauma or on hardship, collective frustration. And then have you ever thought Have you ever said something and thought, wait, whose words are these? Because not every word you resonate with is meant to become your own voice. Let me say that again. Not every every word you resonate with is meant to become your own voice. Some words are just survival language. You see, somebody posts something, for instance, and says, "Oh, don't have friends." Where's that coming from? Is it actually the fact that you shouldn't have friends, or it's just her own lived experience with bad experiences? Is she living? Is that not? Is that a language of survival? Or is that a language of truth? Is that a language of survival? So you ask questions. You're not reading blindly. You're not scrolling blindly. Some words belong to a season that you've already outgrown. I've outgrown this. I don't really need to be reinforcing these words in my mind. I've outgrown it. Yes, leave it. Let's move on, right? So wearing the long language is like wrong language, sorry. Wearing the wrong language is like wearing somebody else's coat. It may look fine, but is it really yours? So when you think about the words that you speak, make these reflections. Just ask yourself these simple questions. Sometimes these questions are so simple, but it can show you exactly where you are, where your emotional energy, which is also your life, is headed. And the last thing I want us to look at is, identity versus survival language. And that's something that we need to, look at. There's a difference between identity language and then survival language. Identity sounds like I chose, I value, I'm becoming, and then survival lies sounds like I don't have a choice. I just endure. And that's just how it is. That's how everybody does it. That's how it is for everyone. Survival language once can keep you safe, but it cannot carry you forward. So when you're scrolling, what resonates with you? Is it the survival language or the identity language? When you go into a book, when you go into, when you want to learn from somebody's lived experience, what exactly are you learning? What exactly are you learning? What exactly are you learning? So it calls for you to have, emotional and moral discernment. Just, that discernment. Let's use anger as an example, right? Anger itself is not the problem, but unprocessed anger looks for language, and that language can be found. It's very rampant on social media, very rampant. So you haven't processed why you're upset about a situation. You have not processed why you're upset, in a particular thing, and then you go on social media, and then everybody some rant, somebody's just ranting, and that unprocessed emotion that you are feeling has finally found the language. Where I said it down. That's how they are. That's how they all do. That's how people are. That's how. And then you start to latch on to somebody else's unprocessed language because your own unprocessed language has not found ways to be processed. And when it finds that language and then it validates it without healing it, it becomes hardened. You start to say, that's just no, 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 nobody can help me, nobody can tell me anything, nobody can change my mind. You might not even say it out loud, but you start to resist when somebody wants to, let's look at this from another way. You say, no, 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 no. This matter, I am sorted, I am settled, I am hard. You may not say that you're hardened, but your heart is hardened towards someone who has a contrary opinion towards what you are facing. So the thing about it is that this same language that I've talked about, it can either help you to heal or it can keep you armed. When I say when somebody wants to come and, let's look at it in another way, you stay armed, you stay, there's this barrier. Nobody's crossing me, nobody's getting to me. So you find yourself, have you ever found yourself, somebody's trying to give you advice, but you're like, I'm not listening. I can't hear what this person is saying. Might be there smiling, saying, but as soon as the person goes, you put up your barrier. Like, this guy, this lady doesn't understand how my marriage is. This lady doesn't understand how motherhood is for me. Oh no, motherhood is hard, and that's the stance that I take. It's not easy to be a mom, and that's the stance that I take. Somebody's trying to tell you that motherhood is a higher calling, and then you are so angry because you have so much unprocessed emotion, And you have found language when you go online because you've seen so many mothers who are angry on Instagram, you are angry on Facebook. You borrow their language, you add it to your language, then your heart hardens. Nobody can tell you anything. Everybody has to have it. Everybody has it hard. Everybody has it, stressed. So you start to believe the language of stress. You start to believe the language that this thing that you have been called into is stressful, and then it becomes stressful. Self-fulfilling prophecy. And he says, I said it. After all, we all are. I started getting very careful. I'm not going to lie. I'm not above this. I started getting very careful. All of us are. Misery loves collective language. Likes to find comfort. We are all managed. We all can't. Is the whole. Let's have this collective frustration. You go into a group of women who are moms, and everybody wants to give their CV of how hard it is to be a mom. And I realized, am I reinforcing hardness for myself? I had to be careful. I had to rethink this. Am I reinforcing hardness that it's so hard to be a parent? Is it hard work? Yes. Is it doable? Yes. But there's this narrative online that just tells you that, oh, we are dying, we are failing, oh, nobody can get it right, oh, and then it reinforces that resentment that you have towards being a mom or a wife. It just reinforces it. You can't come out and say it, but you start to second guess yourself, ask yourself questions. Why is it only me? Instead of looking for solutions, looking for partnership, looking for how to delegate, looking for how to, do other things. There are ways to these things. But what language are you borrowing? That's my question for you this afternoon. What language are we borrowing? If the question is not, does the language you're borrowing does it give you healing? Let me rephrase that. The language that you're borrowing, the language that you're hatching onto, does it bring healing for you, or does it harden you and keeps you armed? Makes nobody reachable to you, makes you not to be able to change your mind about certain things that you have stamped your feet on, that this is how it is. So the question isn't whether the content is right or wrong. The question is, what is my scroll producing in me? There's no harmless scroll. There's no harmless scroll. I've learned my lesson. There's no harmless scroll. I've learned to ask better questions. I've learned to ask, what is this producing in me? What is it reinforcing in me? Is it arming me? So let's use the most popular example that I can think of right now. When you're having a quarrel with your husband, you scroll. You see how women are like, men are, oh, this, men are this, oh, men are that. And then you say, I'm justified in being angry. What would have been a better solution is, honey, this housework thing, I would rather we have a conversation. Have a conversation about the kids. Have a conversation about the house. Have a conversation about your husband might not even be doing these things, consciously. But you have what it is, what you're reinforcing so much, and then you're angry. A lot of women are angry. Those posts I was talking about, they were all angry. A lot of them are angry, very angry. But does the anger solve the problem? Does it change the situation? It doesn't. So when you stay angry, there's another way to leak your energy. You're leaking your energy. And then you're wondering, why is it that I cannot grow? Why is it that I cannot, excel? Why is it that I cannot do other things? Why am I always tired as a mom? Why am I always tired? I haven't really done much today, but I'm tired. You are leaking energy from somewhere. So when next you're on your feed, ask yourself one crucial question. There might be good people. There might be good things. I was reading I belong to, a circle of women who are very growth oriented. They love to grow and all that. And I was reading one of them's post, and I was like, no, this one is not for me. Find the one that is not for you and move away from it quickly, because those words are not neutral. They are mental shortcuts. Ask yourself one question: what is this producing in me? As I round off, I want us to do something practical. Privately, where you are, just write one sentence. Um, write one sentence that you live by. Sorry, excuse me. Write one sentence that you live by, and then write a second sentence that feels lighter. So if you've been used to saying, oh, everybody is managing, everybody is suffering, write another sentence that feels lighter than that heavy sentence, and then feels more true to you and feels more aligned to the woman that you're becoming. I'll give you examples from I endure to I choose. Choose your language. Notice how a language shift can cause a language change can cause a shift inside of you. From this is how I am, or this is just how I am, to this is who I learned to be, and who can I learn to be. Learning is, you can learn and unlearn and relearn, right? And then notice how your body responds to each one. And that's where I want to invite you to the work that we do in the Becoming Her program. It's not about fixing yourself. It's not about silencing emotion, but it's about learning to notice the words that are shaping us. It's not about fixing emotion. It's about learning to, learning to choose, to choose, to notice the words that are shaping us. And then we need to learn to choose intentionally. So you're not joining Becoming Her program because you are broken. It's not about being broken. Nobody's trying to fix you. You're joining because you are ready to live from clarity instead of conditioning. And if this has stirred something on the inside of you, that's the invitation that I'm talking about. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you so much. I just paid attention to the screen and I wasn't looking at the comment section. I apologize. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Bukola. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, 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 thank you for joining me. Yes, your brain keeps looking for ways to keep you safe. Um, you know, and all that just looks for ways. So it's not asking you, oh, this thing you're going to do, this 5 o'clock you're going to wake. Let's start waking you up at 5, because when you wake up at 5, you will do more. No, 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 no. It's just looking for how to make you safe. 9 o'clock has been your safe place. So he will want to keep you at 9 o'clock. And that's why when you're building habits, you need to start with small ones. You need to be gentle with yourself, and all and all and all. And this is where we end today's life. So if this has called something in you, if this has resonated with something in you, our link to join the Becoming Her program is on the bio, and please just click on it and let's do this journey together, because sometimes you don't even know how much your subconscious is carrying. You don't even know how much it is that you are draining that drains your life, that drains your energy. That I was talking to somebody this morning. I said these are the things that you don't think about, and then you meet somebody 10 years later and the person hasn't changed. There's no growth. You meet the person 20 years later, there's no change, there's no growth. There are people like that in my environment, sorry. And they're like, what's going on? But these are the things, because your life is shaped by your thoughts. Thank you so much, and do have an amazing weekend. See you next week, Friday.